Hey everyone and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe, where today we're going to be revisiting another weapon I think people have requested a number of times recently. Looking back at the original video, I have to ask, what on earth was I thinking of that build? And that is the Dragon Nikana. It's by far one of my oldest videos at this point, and it's one that a lot of people still mention to me because of the fact I was crazy and tried to make a channeling build work on it. I've decided to come back to it, update it for modern Warframe, since things have changed quite a bit in game since the Dragon Nikana was first released. You can pick the blueprint up off the market. It's not hugely expensive though, the times they're actually building the weapon. The most expensive part of the build is actually the fact you need to use the basic Nikana as part of the build. But what do you get from the dragon when it's finally built? Well, it's still the only dragon in the game, but it comes with a base of 85. The vast majority of that is coming in the form of slash damage, with a little bit of impact and a little bit of puncture, and it makes this thing incredible against fleshy things and fantastic for applying slash procs to your enemy. Combine that with 15% critical chance, 200% damage multiplier, you can make a crit build work pretty effectively on it, and then add into that a 15% status chance too. You can actually push a crit and condition overload build, which is by far the strongest melee build right now. In terms of downsides, it doesn't really have any, to be honest. The base damage is high compared to a lot of single-handed weapons. The speed of 1 is pretty decent, so it doesn't feel too slow at all. The only real downside I can find, really, is the fact that the knockdown range really isn't very big at all. So trying to ground slam enemies to knock enemies down for ground finishers isn't really going to be a particularly good thing to be trying to do. In terms of the stances, I actually went with Blind Justice. Honestly, Tranquil Cleave and Decisive Judgment are kind of slow to me, and they're kind of awkward as well. More often than not, with Blind Justice, I'm using the Heeding Call, then that's the right-click hold combo. That has a whole bunch of damage multipliers in there, plus a really good ragdoll at the end of it, which can launch the enemy if it survived the whole combo. There isn't any guaranteed status procs in this stance though, in this combo at least. That's really kind of sad because it's not good for stacking procs for condition overload, but it feels fast and it's definitely not clunky like the other two. So for that reason, that's why it's my choice of stance. In terms of builds, I only have one that I went with in the end. I did try out another one that works on other slash based weapons, but I don't think it worked that well on this. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. The build I settled on was 2 Former, although honestly you could get away with just 1. It's only 2 because I've changed it over the years. Now I went with a pretty standard crit condition overload build on here, prime pressure point, blood rush, and that combines with drifting contact for increasing the crit chance as the combo counter goes up, and obviously drifting's in there to maintain the combo counter, plus give us a little bit of extra status chance. Berserker's in there for attack speed when we crit, Organ Shatter to increase our crit damage, Condition Overload to increase damage based on status procs, and then 2 dual stat elementals. Now because the Dragon Nikana is mostly slash, I decided to go with Viral for the status effect on here. The reason for this is that halving enemy health and then making them bleed, which ignores their armor, and then you've got the less health as well. It's super effective, and I found it to be the best way of running this. This is mainly because only a 40% status chance. It's not enough to make Corrosive overtake the Viral plus Bleed combo, like on some of the other higher status weapons like the Volnus that I tested the other day. Now the other build I actually tested and decided against was one you can actually do on some other weapons. In fact, you can do it on the Dragon Nikana. Those really have a bit of a better status chance, and that is running with Pure Slash. A lot of the base mods are the same, but this time instead of 2 dual stat elementals, you go with Weeping Wounds to increase your status chance as your combo counter goes up, and I've got Buzzkill on there, which further weights the procs into being almost entirely slash. It's not really necessary for this, so you could go with something like Relentless Combination to increase your combo counter every time the bleed from the slash procs tick for damage, and that means Weeping Wounds stacks very, very quickly, same with Blood Rush. Or you could go with Lasting Sting, and that can actually keep those bleed procs running for longer, bleeding them to death slowly. Honestly, I decided to ditch this build because I felt that with a 21% status chance, even with Weeping Wounds on there, it really wasn't enough to get this build up and running quick enough. And even when it was, in all honesty, the Viral and Slash build from the first one pretty reliably outperformed it. So while this is an option, I still decided to go with that first one as my main build. So what do I think of the Dragon Nikana? Well, honestly, it's a pretty damn decent weapon still, and it's aged pretty well over the years. While of course it's outperformed by the ever impressive Nikana Prime, the Dragon, for being the only one of its name, does put on a really good show, and is going to be more than enough to deal with even the toughest of sorties. You see it in the background now, dealing reasonably well with the 120 Eximus enemies, and while yes, there are other weapons that are going to kill faster than this, but the Dragon Nikana is going to deal with whatever you throw at it. Plus you can look good while doing it. The combos are pretty flashy, and the weapon itself looks so good on the hip of almost any frame that you put it on, especially like my nicks that you can actually see it in the footage. I do have a skin on there as well, which is the Gemini Search Form Sheath, which adds some seriously cool energy effects to the sheath, and it's by far my favourite skin for it, although there are plenty to choose from. I've always been a fan of Nikanas. If you see my boss battle series, the redo of my rank up series, I have the Nikana Prime on my hip. They are extremely effective weapons that look amazing, but also have the performance to back it up. Looks combined with performance is a huge plus in my books. I really like the Dragon Nikana, so if you aren't able to pick up the Prime, but want an upgrade to the standard Nikana, look no further. Try this out, see what you think. I think you're going to get some enjoyment out of it. So I hope you like my look at the Dragon Nikana. It's way overdue an updated video. Going to be back next week with some boss battle videos and maybe even another I Spy. Plus video on the new event is going to be coming soon. But for now, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.